Welcome. Thank you for coming. We're going to try to get started roughly on time and go fairly quickly through a number of outstanding speakers. We're going to speak about 5 minutes each, and then we're going to take questions from the microphones on the floor. And so with that, my name is David Swanson. I work with a coalition called After Downing Street. And without further ado, I want to bring up our first speaker, one of the organizers of this entire event, one of our hosts here, one of the best political bloggers on the internet and authors of political books, including most recently, The Genius of Impeachment, the Founder's Cure for Royalism. Did I get it right? Wonderful, wonderful book. I recommend everyone not only read it, but get it into schools and libraries. Please give John Nichols a welcome.
David Swanson. Greetings, patriots. My name is John Nichols, and I want to impeach the president. I know that is an inappropriate statement in our current political climate, certainly for a serious political journalist, and I wanted to avoid having to say it. But you know, I was taught by my mother that when you break the law, you must be punished for doing so. And this president has broken the law and destroyed the Constitution repeatedly. Now let me tell you here, that this is a conference on media reform, and make no mistake, the issue of impeachment in this country is intimately related to the question of media reform. If we had a media in the United States that covered politics as opposed to spin, you would know that when Newsweek magazine in October of this last year, 2006, polled the American people right before a critical national election that was supposed to give us a sense of where our public sentiment stood. They threw in an impeachment question. They said, Americans, what do you think about impeachment? We know, of course, you've never heard of it because we don't cover the impeachment movement. We know, of course, that you think it's a dangerous, horrible thing because we tell you that if we do cover it. So what do you think about impeachment? 51% of Americans said the president should be impeached for lying about the war. Patriots, your fellow citizens are not the problem. It is the media and the political class in this country that refuses to listen to your fellow citizens. It is your job as media reform activists and as patriots who care fundamentally about this country far more than do the wrecking crew in Washington. It is your job to do two things. First, you must force the political class to put impeachment back on the table. You can do that. You can do that through grassroots organizing in communities across this country. There is a campaign going on now to put referendums on local ballots in cities and towns and villages across the United States. In March of this year, more than 50 communities across Vermont will vote on the question of whether the president should be impeached, and those votes are absolutely critical to sending a message to Congress that you may say impeachment's off the table, but the people do not allow you to take it off the table. As we go to Vermont to help those people to learn more about impeachment, we will also be talking about the media at every turn. Because the fact of the matter is, if 51% of the people now say the president should be impeached for lying about the war, if dozens of communities across this country are going on record, including Nancy Pelosi's own hometown of San Francisco, voting 58% in November for impeaching the president and vice president, if this is happening now, we must demand to know, why isn't it a news story? Why isn't this on the front page? Why isn't it on the evening news? And if they won't put it on, then my friends, it's time for the picket line. It is time for the protest. It is time to stand outside those newspapers and those television stations and say, cover the news. Cover what's going on in this country. Now, it's a busy night for me. I apologize for not being able to stay through all of your sessions, but I leave you with some of the brightest and best minds in the country on these issues. I'm totally confident they will handle you far better than I would. But let me go away with this one thought, and I think it is the critical thought. There will be those who tell you that in seeking to impeach the President of the United States, you may be undermining the war effort. Well, first and foremost, let me tell you, that's a darn good idea. But they will say you may be undermining the war effort. You may be doing damage to the Republic. You may be doing something in good for America. Let me tell you that the people who wrote the Constitution of these United States, George Mason, James Madison, all spoke about impeachment. George Mason said nothing in this document is of more importance than the power to impeach because it alone protects every other freedom in the Constitution. James Madison said, someday it may become necessary to impeach the President of the United States. Fear not this process. It is what we fought for. We fought to depose a king. We do not believe that America should accept an elected king any more than an inherited king. George Bush has governed as a king. The heirs to the American Revolution have a fundamental responsibility to renew our commitment to our founding principle, thus always to tyrants, impeachment to George Bush, impeachment to Dick Cheney, out with the wrecking crew and in with democracy. Thank you very much.
In the future, in which we get tough on crime, and George Bush, Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, and Condoleezza Rice pick up the trash along the highway. BushChainGang.org. Go there and have these people come to your town. They'll arrive in a box. You'll pull them out. You'll have the greatest event in your town you've ever had. You'll put them in a box and send them on to the next town, and it works wonders.
Sometimes we have to trick the media into covering our issues.
Thanks, Bill. Bill Moyer, backbonecampaign.org. So